Hi, I'm Joe Jacobson at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Lots to bring you in the next hour, as you'd expect, including a roundup of what happened at Adams Park on Tuesday night with Phil. We'll look ahead to the visit of Shrewsbury on Saturday as well, including a very special celebration.
Happy anniversary to us.
Yeah, that sort of thing. We'll hear from the manager, Matt Bloomfield, as well, a couple of times, post-Tuesday and pre-Saturday. That's all on the way in the next hour as well. But that's not all.
Is it not? Oh, yes, it is.
I was going to say nearly panto
Sorry.
season, but not quite. And they're up to Christmas. This is a joke I did earlier. It's great to have a Carroll on the show.
Hey.
And Jesus as well.
Ah.
Dave Carroll will be joining us in a bit. Very much looking forward to chatting to him. He was at the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association annual dinner, which I believe was it last week? No, week before.
I don't
Recently,
know.
anyway.
I have no idea what day it is.
I know,
You're
time's
asking
going
the
so
wrong
quick,
person.
isn't it? If you're listening on the podcast a while back.
Yes.
And we'll be catching up with Gemma Dunn as well. He's a Wycombe Wanderers Women centre-back.
They had their media day yesterday.
Didn't they?
They did.
There's a very nice team photo
Yes.
that's on social media.
It's very good. It's nice to see them all together.
It is nice. Yeah. I'm sure they're all together a lot. But
Well, they're all together
I know
now,
what you mean,
but you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah, training now, I think.
Yes, in the rain. Lucky them.
Ooh, the rain in Burnham.
Yeah.
Yes, anyway, much to bring you, and possibly other bits. Have we got other bits?
Oh, there's always other bits,
Gotta be
Colin.
other bits.
You know, there's always other bits.
But first, then, let's bring you a chat with Phil, including starting with Jack Grimmer, of course, who you might have heard on Ringing the Blues earlier this week, and he spoke after the game on Saturday very passionately as well.
Yeah. It's what was really interesting actually was the response from the fans. Sort of resolutely positive about Jack's approach. As a senior player, I think he's been here sort of over 4 years now, but at 29 is probably sort of in that generals category now at Wycombe, and rightly so. And just to kind of shine some light again onto that a bit, it was something that he wanted to do, and was like, yeah, I need to speak, and on behalf of the players, and that takes real character, I think, and I think we all suspected that character's been there with Jack the whole time. In fact, I know it has been, but yeah, it was. Interesting, the response. Certainly, even fans from other clubs saying, wow, this is a bit different. So yeah, we do like to do things a bit differently here. Obviously, it's born about from a situation that's not ideal, but that's football. Results can't always go your way, and things can't always go your way, and there'll always be a cycle in football and ups and downs. And I think, as I said to the gaffer after that defeat against Morecambe, is you do learn a lot about people in these times, and I'm sure he's been learning a lot as well, and Jack too, because let's not forget there's a lot of new faces around.
No, absolutely. And to quote a fan and former club employee and German comedy ambassador, Henning Vane, on social media, wrote, great interview, but why are the players and managers expected to apologise to the fans after every defeat, usually followed by how many miles the round trip is? It's sport. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but irrespective of the win or lose, you're spending time with your mates, which is a really good point, isn't it, I think?
It is a really good point. And again, as someone who's over 40, I remember what it's like when social media wasn't around. And I've also remembered times when Wycombe have been on poor runs, much worse ones than this. And we've all sort of on the final whistle and moaned and gone to the pub or wherever and sat in our collective social groups and moaned and probably done the sort of things that we would now be seeing on Twitter, that we now see on Twitter. So I understand people's frustrations, certainly in the heat of a game, straight after the game. And, when I was a kid, I didn't have that facility, and I'm quite glad, actually. But, people want to vent and stuff online, and that's fine. That's how it should be, if people want to do that. But it's just something that's new, and it has sort of engendered this culture of sort of almost entitlement. And let's not forget, there's 24 teams in League One. 2 will get promoted automatically. 1 will go up through the playoffs. 3 will be unsuccessful in those playoffs, and that's still the same. But there's 24 sets of fans there who believe they should be in those top 2. And that's what football's all about as well. But not everybody can be. And, yes, we've had our share of success down the last few years. And that's not to say we won't again this year. But, it's sometimes someone like Henning sort of socially comments in a way that kind of does make you think differently. And you think, well, actually, yeah, I've just spent Saturday going up or Tuesday night, for example, going to Barnsley and seeing my team lose. But I've spent the vast majority of my time with my friends or doing something that I believe in and I love, and support goes both ways as well. Support isn't just about being at Wembley when we win or not, or watching on TV as it was back when we did win. It's about being there when your players aren't delivering to the standard they usually are, or below what you expect of them, and supporting them. And as long as they continue to put the effort in and deserve that support, that's how it should be.
And also the timing of the Q&A with the chairman before Tuesday night's game seems to come at a really good time as well. And some of his comments really helped, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Rob is a guy that's never shy and never has been. And again, people seem to think that's quite unusual in the English game. And I think that's been something that certainly the growing number of Americans in terms of ownership have perhaps bought. Not all of them. I think a few Man United fans may disagree with this. But Rob has been very open and very accessible. And he comes over once a month. He was always due to come over regardless of results, and he always sort of messages in the week leading up to it saying, how do we engage with the fans? And it was his idea to do it on the Tuesday night. I think perhaps crudely to maybe add a few tickets onto what was always going to be a poorly attended game. We were able to broadcast it as well to make it accessible for everybody and people to see back again afterwards. But you look at some of the stuff that's online in the build up to stuff like that, and we don't get the sort of questions that are posted online, which I think is a shame. And I think Rob was a little disappointed because I think as someone who spends a lot of time sort of talking in court and having being scrutinised on the stand, so to speak, he quite enjoys it. And yeah, but it was interesting either way, and obviously it gives fans a chance to see where Rob's coming from and to dissect and go over what he says and discuss with their friends as well. But yeah, it's just another opportunity, I guess, for some contact with those running the club.
And something that Jack pointed out in his post-match interview on Saturday, that he was really looking forward to the opportunity on Tuesday to sort of put things right, and that came to fruition. Yeah,
it's a much maligned competition, as we've said many times on this show, Colin. But let's look at the teams that are in League One that are still progressing and League Two as well. It seems that those teams are taking it more seriously. I've noticed a huge step up in quality or competitiveness. I think quality is probably the wrong word, because I think the technical quality has always been there with the under-21 teams. What's been lacking is their sort of competitiveness in terms of the physicality of men's football, and I think that's why they've been brought into this competition. That's been a steep sort of upward curve, I think, over the last 4 or 5 years, and we saw Fulham, playing some really good football, but also being able to mix it a bit more physically, which meant that it was a really good game to watch. Actually, it was very entertaining to watch, and the right result for Wycombe. But from a Wycombe point of view, minutes for players. David Wheeler, after getting a knock at Barnsley, had to miss the FA Cup game, but was able to get a full 90 plus on Tuesday night. Jack Grimmer, Joe Jacobson, Luke Leahy have returned for him as well, and that was a lot of people sort of scrutinising that, of course, because of how would he react when he crosses the white line? What about that first 50-50? And he passed that test with flying colours and got some good assists for his great mate Dale Taylor as well. So yeah, but a really positive night, and not just for progression in the cup, but just for what it means for the team on Saturday. And it has to be used as a springboard, Colin, first and foremost for the league. And no better time to do that than on Saturday at Adams Park against Shrewsbury, and that's what we spoke about with the gaffer after the game.
Really pleased with the performance tonight. I thought we could have had a few more goals. Slightly disappointed. We kind of lost a little bit of discipline near the end, but in many ways, I think, considering what's happened in the last couple of weeks, and you get close to that win, maybe just plays on the boys' mind slightly. But yeah, it's great to have a few more voices on the pitch. So, having Lukey back was great. JJ, Jack Grimmer, with Keys at the back, I thought they were very, very good, and Wills and Dale up front, I thought were great as well. So I said to the players before the game, give me some selection headaches before the weekend. Their shirts up for grabs for sure, and I thought a few of them did that tonight.
Bit of disruption before the game as well. Lyle Taylor feeling something, having to drop out of the lineup. What was your thoughts on that? Because obviously the injury list is long already.
Yeah, it's frustrating for Lyle and for us because obviously coming so close to kick off, we were ready to give the last minute team talk and he had to pull out, so we had to make a last minute change and bring Dale in. And it's funny how it works, isn't it? Because Dale wasn't due to start and then he got his goals. Football works in mysterious ways at times, but yeah, so we need to assess him, see where he's at. But Lyle's been great since he's come in. He really wants to do well for us, and we'll see how quickly that can settle down.
Luke Leahy got the assist, but also to see him out on the pitch again and playing just like the Luke Leahy that we know must be a big relief.
Yeah, huge. First and foremost, just to have him back out playing, because it was a big whack that he took, and he's been, I've said it several times and I'll say it again, Lukey's been unbelievable for us this season in terms of his on the pitch, his ability, the way, his forward passes, his assists, his goals. Off the pitch, he's just, his character's just top. He's such a good guy. He's always got energy, always trying to wind someone up or play a prank, or, he's just a good guy, one of life's good guys, and he's one of the people that you really want to see do well. And it's great to have him back ahead of the game at the weekend. It's lovely for him to get some minutes because he's very, very important for us.
And also a great night, of course, for Dale Taylor, who I guess wouldn't have expected to be playing in the role that he did.
Yeah, I think he was starting the night on the bench as a sub, with Lyle Taylor getting more minutes. Turns out, unfortunately, Lyle picked up a knock in the warm-up, so then there was a very late change. And that's the other beauty of doing a live Q&A with your chairman in the build-up to the game, is I learnt that as the game kicked off. So, yeah, having read the team out and Lyle Taylor, and then I saw his blonde hair isn't out there, what's going on? And then quickly got my head around that. But then obviously it became very apparent when Dale scored. And did really well. First goal was fantastic. Second goal was a really deft finish as well. Two very different kinds of goals. But yeah, as strikers, that's what you want, isn't it? Game times, minutes and goals. And I listened back to that interview that we did in pre-season, and I said, Dale, what can we expect from you? And he said, goals. And yeah, it's 5 now for the season. He'll want more. Of course he does. The fans want him to score more. Of course they will. Hopefully he will. And hopefully it can continue on Saturday as well. And also hopefully Lyle Taylor isn't a serious knock, and we can get him back out there and getting match sharp and getting his undoubted quality contributing to the cause too. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Taylors around, and we spoke to one of the Taylors, Dale, after the game.
2 goals for myself was obviously massive for me. I haven't scored in a while, and to get off a marker game was brilliant. And big credit to the lads going out today and putting the fight in together and got the win. 2
well taken goals as well. Talk us through that first one.
Yeah, just seen it drop, and I thought, why not, hit it in the volley, and thankfully it went in. And then the second one, Luke Leahy slipped me in, and I just got a touch to it, and thankfully it went in as well.
And how about the overall team performance tonight as well? Some good stuff played out there.
Yeah, it's good to have some of the lads back, like Luke Leahy and JJ and stuff. And I thought the boys played really well and put the fight in and got the 3 points and on to the next round.
It's in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, but I think the club needed a win after recent form, no matter what the competition. So how does the dressing room after that 90 minutes tonight?
Yeah, everyone's buzzing in there, but obviously with a game coming Saturday and hopefully we can go out and get another win. I think we owe that to the manager and to the fans, but yeah, hopefully on Saturday we can get another win.
And tonight as well, you got your 2 goals, but at the start of the evening, I think you were due to be on the bench, and then there was a late change, was there, and then back on. So, how's that work out mentally for you? Because obviously you prepare not to be starting, then you are, but then you score 2 goals. Yeah,
well, it's a bit different for me. I prepare to start every single game, even if I'm not starting. And yeah, Lyle dropped out. I'm not too sure what happened to him, but no, I was ready to go in and got the 2 goals, and thankfully we got the win.
You've mentioned that Luke Leahy was back out there. We've heard Luke's impression of you. What's your opinion of Luke's vocal skills?
No, he's not bad at it, to be fair. I think he's the best out of the group that can do it. So no, it's a good laugh, to be fair.
And more importantly, to see him back out there as well after such a serious injury. Great to see him, his usual self on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I'm very happy for him, to be fair. I'm close with Luke, so I am. And no, it was brilliant to see him out there, and he put in a good performance for the team. And
something which also came across on the commentary as well was, and you touched on earlier was, players in different positions. And Toby mentioned it was good to see David Wheeler as well playing a bit more forward.
Yeah, we always talked about his strengths in the air and having someone up there that can hang in the air and bring other players in, hold the ball up, flick the ball on. And also he's got a good eye for goal as well. His goal scoring record at Exeter and also at Wycombe is excellent. So yeah, to have him there, and he's always been called, isn't he, the Swiss Army knife, and that's another sort of one of his attachments, I guess, is that he can play up top and lead the line, which he did really well the other night. And if Lyle Taylor is to miss a couple of games, then I'm sure we may be seeing him further forward.
I know the manager spoke last week about sort of needing more goals, especially in home games, and I guess that's something that the fans will be looking for this weekend.
Yeah, and that's why the stats for the other night were really good, because a lot of shots in that game as well, lots of attempts at goal, and that seems to be a stark difference from the level of the performances that we've seen in recent times. I think it's, obviously if you don't shoot, you don't score, but you have to work the positions, you have to play well, the performances need to be there, as the manager said, and frankly they haven't been in recent games in FA Cup and League. So yeah, this is a huge game on Saturday, and Wycombe need to take what they did on Tuesday against Fulham under-21s and apply that on the Shrewsbury team that have had a sort of an up and down start to the season as well, and a lot of change in the summer too. Similar sized club, similar sized fan base, so I think it's a bit of a benchmark for this division for us, and a big game.
Does it feel like sort of too much has really been made of this winless run in League One? I remember under the previous manager, I think there was a 7-game winless run as well. But, I guess, like in a way, that's sort of what Henning was intimating at. This is sort of how football goes, isn't it? You get runs where you win, you get wins where you lose.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier on, not every team can win every week. Otherwise, it'd be incredibly boring and also physically impossible. Yeah, it's part of football. And as much as we don't want to make excuses or look for reasons, there's no coincidence that the level of performance has dropped off with the amount of injuries we've had. And that's not to do down the players that are coming in. The players are coming in having to get up to match fitness. Perhaps some of them are playing their first sort of decent run in League One in their careers, and it's part of their development as well. So, yeah, there's a whole host of reasons. But, I don't think, the excuse culture is something that fans enjoy either. And it's about a squad, and you build a squad that can deliver, and you have to deal with injuries. All clubs will have injuries. Of course they will, and they will all impact their performances and results as well. The clubs with the huge budgets will have the deeper squads in terms of the quality and the experience, more importantly, that goes from top to bottom. And it means that, that if those times come, then those things happen. But we've also seen the other side of the coin. Teams with huge money and huge budgets, when things are really going well, the manager then has to keep everyone happy because not everybody can play. Especially if they're not having a bad run of injuries. So it's the vagaries of football management. Who'd be a football manager? It's a tough old job. But yeah, let's see how we get Saturday. Let's see. With Luke Leahy back, there's Sam Vokes is getting closer. We heard from Kane Vincent-Young last Saturday that he'll be back hopefully before Christmas. These are big additions to the squad. Freddie Potts we can put in there as well as a loanee, but somebody's added real quality to our midfield. Let's get these players back as soon as possible, and then hopefully they can start contributing as they did earlier on in the season too.
And something else which is really good that the club is marking at the weekend is the 10th anniversary of the radio station which we're both speaking on. And I know, really nice for you to be able to reflect as well from your drive time days right up to, match commentary and ringing the blues on the station now as well. Yeah, look, I think stations like Wycombe Sound and, they kind of morphed from Wycombe Hospital Radio as well, which is where I started out. And Wycombe Sound's been a large part of my life and hugely helpful for my ongoing career. And, they're fantastic partners for Wycombe Wanderers as well. And so, 10 years is a phenomenal achievement. I remember fondly the application process for them to get their licence, which I'd imagine many listeners won't realise just how difficult it is to get an FM licence these days, and an online radio licence too. And a month over 3 years, a month every year, I think it was, to go and do a temporary broadcast. And it was brilliant to be able to do some broadcasting on that, not only to contribute to the application, but personally for me, what a wonderful way to gain experience into the radio industry and journalism. And hugely invaluable to me and many, many, many other people as well. And then let's not forget the impact it has on the community and the listeners, etc. And in a time where I think local journalism is going through a really bad time, I think in terms of what gets written and spoken about on other outlets is struggling. We've seen the advertising model in print media collapse, which has brought its own challenges. BBC local radio is seemingly trying to lose its local sort of edge and is now appealing to trying to get wider audiences in bigger areas, which of course means the focus on the things that matter to people who live in a certain area become less important unless it's a huge news story. But, local issues and local things are big for everybody, wherever they live. And to have someone like Wycombe Sound committed to covering that and giving people a voice and a platform is absolutely massive. So, huge congratulations to everyone at Wycombe Sound, and also a big thank you on behalf of everyone at Wycombe Wanderers for everything you guys do, because we couldn't do what we do on a match day without you lot, because the technical wizardry to get us from the gantry at Adams Park or from away games back to the production company, which I think is somewhere near Heathrow, and then back out synced up 99% of the time at least, and that's not you guys, that's someone else, with the pictures you're seeing or even just the audio you're getting, that's going through the studio in High Wycombe of Wycombe Sound, and without the technical expertise and help of you guys, our lives would be a lot more difficult, and I even partially understand how it works, which itself is a huge credit to you lot too. But massive thanks, and here's to the next 10 years, because let's go from strength to strength. Good stuff. Here. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game on Saturday. Looking forward to being there myself.
Good stuff. Fantastic.
More from Phil on Saturday, of course, from the gantry, and you can catch the full interviews with the manager and also with Dale Taylor on Wanderers TV.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Part 2 of the Wycombe Wanderers show still to come this evening. We'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield ahead of the visit of Shrewsbury Town on Saturday. We'll catch up with Gemma Dunn as well, who's a centre-back from Wycombe Wanderers Women, almost at the club for a year after signing from Andover in February. But first, you'll know that throughout the season we're celebrating 30 years of the club in the Football League, and with big thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, been speaking to many. It's been like the football stickers of that year. I've been collecting members of the squad. We spoke to many on the show, and at the Ex-Players Association dinner very recently, it was fantastic to see some of those who'd travelled from a very long distance as well. I'm very pleased to say joining us on the show this week is a name that you'll be very familiar with from the wing, from his days there. I'm very pleased to be able to welcome to the show Dave Carroll. Hello, sir.
Hi, Colin. How are you doing?
Really good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well.
Really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. It's great. Thank you so much indeed for your time. And what did it mean to you to be at the dinner?
Yeah, it was a great evening. A lot of reminiscing. Obviously, great to see all the lads again. Don't get together that often. So it's nice to see a few faces from the past, really. And then obviously, with Martin being there, saying a lot of reminiscing going on.
Because I'm sure, as you mentioned, you don't really get to see some of those guys very often, and some of them, obviously Andy Kerr especially, came a long way, and obviously it must have just sort of clicked back in for you all to be together again.
Yeah, that's right. It's like we're sort of still kind of playing. The banter was still the same. And I say, some of the lads I hadn't seen for a long time, and for Andy to come all the way from Canada, it was a great effort from him really to do that. But I think it just showed how sort of close we were as a group, at the time when we were all playing together.
And a great opportunity for your sons who were there as well to really kind of, it was funny, ask questions about what their dad actually did for the club.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they were sort of obviously not around when I was playing, so it was quite nice. Obviously they sort of hear stuff from myself, and Jude's a sort of massive Wycombe supporter anyway, so he goes quite regularly. And Frankie's always, is kind of watching videos and things like that. So he's always, some of the goals and that on YouTube and things, he'll sort of pull me up on it and go, yeah, I saw this goal at such and such, and then, show it. So it was nice for them to say, maybe appreciate what I did, many years ago.
We'll talk to you more about obviously the season of getting promoted and doing the double. But does that feel like 30 years ago, or does it feel still quite fresh in your memory?
Yeah, I mean, say sort of the other night when we were all there, it was kind of like, oh, this had only happened a few years ago. To think it was 30. Well, just makes you feel old, doesn't it? Really?
No, absolutely. Great memories of watching you play. And what would you say was your earliest memory of your time at the club?
Well, I think I remember sort of quite a lot of. I mean, I think I played a friendly before I'd actually signed when I was still at Ruislip, and I think I played a friendly against it might have been a sort of Norwegian, Swedish, something like that sort of side. Just as not a sort of trial really. I think Jim Kelman invited me along, and I think I put a header over the bar from about a yard. And, you sort of, that kind of stuck in my mind, and you kind of think, blimey, I don't think they'll be looking to take me on after that. But, no, I say I sort of remember quite a lot of when I first joined. I got injured quite early on in the time when I'd actually signed. I broke my collarbone after about 8 or 9 games of the season, and I'd started the season quite well, and that kind of threw me back a little bit, to then, obviously Martin arriving, then the move to Adams Park, so I've got good memories of all the things really that happened, when I joined the club.
And there was a great story at the dinner. Well, not great for the person involved, but Martin told a great story about how a particular player was unfortunately sacked because he kept getting in your way, and you were a lot better in that position.
Yeah, Steve Abley. Yeah, I just always remember Jim Kelman used to say, when he was running with the ball to sort of get inside and let him, run down the outside and get across him. And I think when I was still doing that when Martin arrived, and like I say, obviously sort of thought, I think why is Dave not doing it? He's much better at it than Steve is. So yeah, he didn't last very long after Martin came in.
And did it feel like, it was long before, you were really sort of settling in and something special was happening with the players around you in the side?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I joined, we were in the conference, we had a good run under Jim. That year, I think we sort of went about 20 games undefeated in the league, and I think we were sort of pushing a little bit for actual getting promotion. And then I think we lost in the quarter-final of the FA Trophy that year, and our season sort of just drifted away. So we had a good nucleus, but probably lads who'd been there a while. And then, obviously, when Martin came in, we suddenly started having a bit of a nucleus of younger fellas, maybe a little bit more hungrier, had a bit of a point to prove. I think that was mentioned at the dinner the other night. And we got lucky in a way that the group came together when it did. Everyone got on really well, and it was a gradual progression. It wasn't a sort of immediate. It took us 2-3 years or whatever it was in the end to actually get into the Football League once Martin had taken over.
But the style of football you played was, both you personally, but also obviously the team was so sort of attacking and exciting going forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, we did. I think the year we got promotion, I think one of the lads was saying again at the dinner, we were rolling teams over 4 and 5 every week. But to be honest, I think we could sort of mix it a bit. We didn't play well every week. I think that, we won the league very easily, but we didn't play great every week. But we just had a way of winning matches. And, I say when we played poorly, we would come away with, a scrappy 1-0 win. But when we were good and on our game, we were very, very good. We attacked, scored a lot of goals from lots of different places. And we had a lot of match winners, I think, in the side as well, Colin. So everyone didn't have to be playing well at the same time. It's just someone would always sort of step up and score a great goal, or score a couple of goals just to win us the game.
I think there are so many positions, aren't there, as well, that are exciting for fans, but obviously yours and what you did and, what you were able to create and goals scored as well, it must be really pleasing for yourself to be able to kind of look back and have such a memorable time at the club. Yeah,
that's right. So, I enjoyed it all. Again, I think when you're in it, people would ask, it must be great to be playing football. And I think at the time my take was, well, it's probably, after a while, it's a bit like another, any other job, really. You just, you turn up every day and sort of do it. But when you actually come out of playing, that's when you realise how sort of privileged you were to be in that position. And I think if you went back years, you maybe do that slightly different, in terms of training and extra training, after the training session's finished and things like that. So, I suppose, like anything in life, Colin, hindsight's a great thing.
Of course. I mean, it must feel, as I say, so different looking back, as you say, than actually being there at the time. But so many, great memories and special occasions. Obviously, the FA Trophy wins, the other playoff games at Wembley, and also, obviously, getting promotion, being part of the group that gets promotion to the Football League as well.
But yeah, that's right. I mean, like I say, it was a gradual thing. Sort of, it took a couple of years. Then we got to the trophy final the first time. I think everyone was, you kind of under the impression you to play at Wembley, to do that once in your career, if you like, would be amazing. To do it, the 3 times we did, and I think very differently. I think the first year against Kidderminster, we didn't play particularly well, but we sort of ground the result out. The Runcorn game, obviously the year we'd done the double, was we were in control from the first minute when we scored, and it was quite a comfortable game and quite enjoyable to play in because it was comfortable, and then obviously that led on to winning the league as well that year. So so there was a gradual bit of succession over a few years, and obviously we'd had the disappointment from the year before when we lost on goal difference to Colchester.
And are there any particular goals that really stand out? I'm sure the one against Preston at Wembley is one that a lot of fans will remember for a very long time. Yeah,
I think obviously that one. I think there's a few not great goals, but important goals in trophy semi-finals and things like that. A goal I think I scored against Preston in the playoff semi-final at home. To sort of put 3-0 up, over the two legs, kind of took the sting out of that game a little bit. But yeah, I suppose looking back, there was a few good goals amongst all that. But like I say, a few important goals, I think, was the main thing.
And signing from Ruislip, as you say, I'm sure you could have never imagined that you'd have been there, 600 appearances later.
No, not at all. No, I could never have done that. I mean, I'm quite, a fairly loyal person anyway. So yeah, to play 600 over so many years, again, I think a bit of luck involved in that with injuries to start with. Didn't get too many, but certainly early on when I was there, sort of playing 40 to 50 games a year, and it wasn't really till later on in my career that I started picking up injuries and missing long periods of games. But like I say, to play 600, I've never said that was possible. Over that time we had 5 or 6 managers, so you've always got to try and fit into their plans. Obviously, some people came in, probably didn't really sort of fancy me and were looking to replace me, and then lucky enough, maybe realised that what they brought in wasn't as good as what they had. So, I was quite lucky on that front as well.
And I think it was mentioned at the dinner as well, and I think I've heard many fans over the years say that, you should have played at a much higher level, but didn't. Was that something that disappointed you, or in a way were you really pleased to be at the club for such a long time and be part of, history, literally?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone wants to play and sort of get to the highest level they possibly can, but sort of, I think quite philosophical about it. It didn't happen, so you can't worry about things that didn't happen. But obviously it would have been nice to play much higher, but like I say, that didn't happen for one reason or another. But I was pleased that I managed to stay that length of time at Wycombe and play so many games. It could have been a lot worse, and it could have got rid of me after a few years, and that would have been it. But say hindsight, and maybe done things differently, to progress to the higher level.
It must be so nice as well, though, to be associated with the club in such a great way, and to be admired by the fans, a real fans' favourite, and obviously people like Matt Bloomfield now has played for the club for such a long time, but yourself in such a sort of an elite group, if you like.
Yeah, that's right. It's great. I mean, I think I was sort of telling the story of getting booed off, at Lokes Park. I think first year Martin was there. So, it was a bit of a, like I say, some people probably liked the way I played, some didn't. But I think in the end, obviously, won them over, and, I think everyone sort of appreciated what I gave to the side.
And obviously, it's an obvious thing to say, I guess, but you must have seen so many changes at the club during your time there. How was that? Because it must be to be such a crucial part of the team and the club, and just seeing so many changes as well.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, so we had Jim, who was when I first signed, he liked quite a lot of running, things like that, which is sort of training sessions. Obviously, we were part time as well. Martin came along, and then we really just played five-a-side most of the time and a bit of shooting. So again, that was totally different. And then when Alan Smith came in, again it changed completely again. So we were doing things like pattern of play, and quite a bit of fitness and stuff like that. So I think you just have to adapt to who comes in. John Gregory came in after him, and again the training sessions were totally different. The way we played was totally different. So I was quite pleased that kind of adapted to the ways they wanted us to play.
And for the majority of the time at the club, I think it's such a sort of settled side, wasn't it? And the style of play, and as we touched on, the role that you had as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think when Alan Smith came in, he sort of tried to change the way we played, tried to change the way, certainly how I played. I think Nicky Bell was the other sort of winger at the time, after Steve Guppy had gone. And it was a totally different way of playing. I think he sort of wanted us to cross the ball a lot and cross the ball early and certain other things. I think after a little while, you try to do that, but it's totally foreign to you. And I think after a little while, I just decided, look, this is the way I play, and if it's not what you want, you're going to get rid of me. So you just I just went down that route, and he went before I did, so that was quite quite pleasing.
Definitely. And what are your memories from the sort of the transition period from non-league to the professional and the football league?
Yeah, again, I think Andy Kerr touched on it. When we played the first few games, I think the Carlisle game, I think the word used at the table that night was brutal, and it was physical. The pace of it was so different to what we've been used to, and bear in mind we kind of cruised through the non-league the year before. So when we did get into football league, it was really difficult. We'd also finished. Most of us sort of packed in a full-time job, was doing it full-time. So it took a long time to get actually used to training every day, the speed, the tempo of the games. But once we settled in, I think we adjusted really well. But it did certainly take a little while to get used to it. Tackles just seemed harder. And I say people were just running, and it was so much more physical than we'd ever been used to, really.
And overall, how do you look back at your time at the club?
I loved it. Wouldn't have swapped it for anything. Say the lads that I played with, they're all great. If someone came into the side and didn't really fit into the way we were, they didn't stay very long. So there was never a dull moment. It was great. It was great fun, and very successful. So I wouldn't have swapped it for anything.
And what do we find you doing these days?
I work for a self-storage company called Space Station. So they're based sort of in Slough. I work in the Brentford branch. So I do that. I'm assistant manager there. But yeah, I enjoy it. Again, I work with a good group of people. The banter's good, so try to get it's a bit like dressing room humour. So it's good. I enjoy it. Then I've been there a few years now, so probably longer than I was at Wycombe. But that's what I'm up to now. But again, like I said earlier, once you come out of football, it's very difficult you've got to adjust. And in hindsight, it was a great life. So. We do. I think anyone who was involved does miss it.
And do you get to go to many games yourself at Adams Park? Or?
I'll go to the odd one. I sort of work every other weekend, so it just depends when, if it falls on a home game or anything. But I'll go occasionally. So Jude's he's a massive supporter, so he goes to a lot of home games, season ticket holder. I don't go to loads, but I'll just pop in there occasionally and have a watch.
Well, it's been brilliant to speak to you and hear from you. What would be your message to supporters who are listening?
No, just thank you very much. I really enjoyed my time. Obviously, we'll say hello if I'm down there. Everyone just get behind Matty, and hopefully, the season will turn back around and they'll be fighting for promotion.
Well, it's been brilliant to speak to you. Really enjoyed watching you as well, and thanks again for your time.
Thanks very much.
Great chatting to Dave Carroll on the Wycombe Wanderers show, and brilliant to commemorate 30 years of the club in the Football League.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of the Wycombe Wanderers show still to come this week. We'll hear from Luke.
Hello.
Wasn't even rehearsed that bit. And also more from Matt Bloomfield as well, as we look ahead to the visit of Shrewsbury Town. Some say Shrewsbury, don't they? Anyway, as a classified...
Shrewsbury.
Sorry?
Shrewsbury is better.
As the reader of the classified football results...
Are you?
I am. Oh. I've looked into this, and apparently both are acceptable.
Oh, so it's not like Bisham, where they got very angry in our first year. It's like, no, it's Bisham. This is definitely a Shrewsbury.
But I believe the locals call it Shrewsbury.
Let's go for Shrewsbury then.
Well, some of them say Shrewsbury. But they're wrong.
Shrewsbury.
More on that later. Matt Bloomfield, we'll be hearing from him in the press session earlier on today. We'll be hearing from him later on. He spoke to us earlier on. Anyway, more from Wycombe Wanderers Women. Fantastic to catch up with Gemma Dunn, who joined the club in February, so it's nearly been 12 months. And as you'll hear, went on a bit of an unbeaten run when she first joined.
Yeah, no, the team has improved massively, from when I started. Just the team, in general, as well as kind of the additions the gaffer brought in over the summer in that. I think we're really starting to understand kind of not just what he expects from us, but what we expect from ourselves, and kind of what our identity should be and is going forward.
And how about your own game as well? Because you've played a number of positions, I guess, but predominantly centre back. But you've also, played a bit more in midfield and sort of pushed forward a bit too.
Yeah, so in pre-season and starting the start of the season, I tore my hamstring pretty bad. So when I came back in, naturally, like the defenders were doing a boss job, and I think we had some injuries in midfield at the time, so I kind of slotted in there to kind of fill a role, kind of defensive mid. Bit different for me because I've been centre back for my whole career, but yeah, it's well, just happy to help the team in any way I can, really.
So you've not scored yet? Is that something you're kind of itching to achieve, or you're not too bothered?
I'm a bit of a weird one. I personally prefer getting the assists, but I have scored a fair bit throughout my life. So if it comes, it comes. But I'm not going to force it. I'll try and do whatever's the best decision for the team.
And chatting to some of the other players, they kind of set themselves targets to achieve, perhaps in a particular game or across a season. Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say across the season. Across the season, I'd like to do kind of more like the team goals, going for promotion, doing well in the cups, things like that. But on more of a personal level, it's just game to game, trying to win my individual battles. As I am, predominantly a centre-back, I like to always keep clean sheets. If we don't have a clean sheet, then, kind of looking at, well, why didn't we, was it down to, just brilliant play from the other team, which sometimes you hold your hands up. But obviously, if we could have affected it, like what can we do better next time to try and reduce kind of, the giving the easy goals away.
And have you noticed yourself a real rise in standard of the teams play as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, teams we're playing against. Yeah, everyone seems to have really been on it through pre-season and everything. But we're definitely holding our own very well. We've had very good results so far this season, and just hoping we can push through into the new year so we can finish in a more favourable position than last year.
And something which comes across as well, and it's a great advert for the club, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well when you were new yourself, but just the way that the new players really fit in and are made to feel so welcome so quickly.
Even when I joined, it was just, there was a nice buzz about the club. There's such a lovely bunch of girls. We're such a nice, welcoming team. I think it's very easy for you to kind of fit in quite naturally with us, which definitely helps. It helps, you don't feel uncomfortable or awkward at training, and you can just kind of focus on playing your game as opposed to, how am I going to gel with everyone else?
So what would you say are the real strengths of the team?
Honestly, I would say probably that is that togetherness. We do like to kind of think of ourselves as like a Wycombe family. We train with the under 18s and the under 23s. We all train together on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So we can kind of really, although we train separately, we're all kind of there together, and you can see kind of the routes for progression and everything going through. And yeah, I think that's massive. We all kind of get on quite well with each other, have each other's backs, which definitely, helps and translates onto the pitch.
So how do you assess how the season's going so far? Because it's strange, isn't it, in a way? It's quite a short season, and you've got a break coming up as well. But you've done, pretty well in both league and cup competitions.
It's been a good start to the season. As always, there's still a few results that didn't quite go our way, for whatever reason. And that's, what we sit with the gaffer and we talk about, trying to assess. So, we can get those results, in the reverse fixtures and so on. But yeah, I'd say we can always do better, but I'd say we're definitely set ourselves on the right foot for the remainder.
And does it change throughout the season as to particular aspects of the team's game that or strengths and weaknesses of the team that you work on in training during the week?
Yeah, I think right now one of our kind of main areas of focus is kind of in the attacking positions. I'm just trying to get a bit more creative up there and trying to bury a lot of our chances, because we do realise, we do some lovely plays sometimes, and it's just that, final decision in the final third, whether it's going to slot it, past the keeper or make a cross, where to cross it to and those kind of things. I think as a team in all positions, not just at the back, we're all kind of sound, defensively when we're out of possession. So it's just kind of, the entire team getting a bit more creative and, in possession, being more creative.
And how do you find playing under Carl and his coaching team as a whole?
It's very clear kind of what he expects from us. We'll go into each training session, clearly either from the previous week's game, what we need to work on, or maybe, what we didn't do against this team, the time before, and how we can kind of exploit, maybe some things we noticed about them, or just, improve our own gameplay. And there's a nice structure to it. We're not just doing this for the sake of doing it. There's always a purpose behind what we do, which obviously helps with, the buy-in of the motivation and everything to compete well in training. And
have there been any games this season that have really stood out as particular challenges, or the ones that you particularly enjoyed or were especially memorable?
For me, it was my first game back, so I didn't play because it was the FA Cup game against Ascot. So the first league game was against Ascot and we lost, I believe it was 3-0, but I could be wrong on that. I can't quite remember. And then 2 weeks later, we play them in the FA Cup and we beat them. Again, I can't quite remember the score. I think it was 1-0. And that was just absolutely incredible. Like the way the girls battled and, like seeing it from the sideline, how hard everyone worked. It was amazing.
Because it must be so nice to get into such a settled run. I think I remember when you first started that you went on quite a few games being unbeaten. But this season, I guess, feels a bit kind of stop-starty in that you've had a number of games off as well. That must be quite frustrating.
Yeah, it is, especially when, in training we're working on building up to that particular game. And then, so we've had one game called off twice now. And some other games, we've had to miss for various reasons. It is a bit frustrating, particularly, this time of year, you just kind of want to get them in. But, we'll still play the games and we'll just go longer into May, if we need to. And yeah, hopefully we'll get have the opportunity to get a few players back fit as well. So hopefully it's just going to be a positive for us.
So as well as obviously on the pitch, it must be really nice for you to be able to contribute in other ways as well. And I know you're doing your day job with your Bucks Union, your lecturing, but really fantastic to work with the foundation as well and helping coaches also.
Yes, we've got our new degree alongside the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, which obviously is for football development, coaching and performance. So yeah, it's really nice to kind of see a different side to the club as well, to be honest, for all the work that they do alongside it and kind of have a small impact into kind of both entities. And I think it's sometimes a bit of a misconception that, you're either a player or a coach, and there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes, in the foundation, in their office, they've got all the development officers, having to coordinate all the schedules, going out, doing whether it's the mindful walks, walking football, or going into schools, so delivery officers, media team. I've not even listed everyone, but there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes if you do want to be involved in football in some capacity.
Great chatting to Gemma, who not only is a footballer, but also a lecturer at Buckinghamshire University and does great work with the foundation as well. More from Luke in a few moments' time. Obviously, wish Wycombe Wanderers Women all the best for their upcoming game at the... Sorry, no one heard that.
Good luck!
Yeah, if you're just tuned in, this is the sort of thing that goes on. More from Luke in a few moments' time as we prepare to celebrate our 10th anniversary, which is also mentioned with manager Matt Bloomfield, who sat down with Phil a little earlier on today.
We get as much into the boys as we can on the screen in the gym, the screen in the meeting room, unit meetings, just try and feed that into them as much as we can in different ways. So obviously the physical exertions have to be reduced on the training ground because of the need the energy for the matches. So it has been a run that's been spoken about. I'm fully aware of it. I think there's... At the start of the run, winless run, there were some really good performances. You're speaking about Peterborough away, Oxford away, or even Bolton at home. There's some really good bits of that performance, although defensively wasn't good enough. Recently it's just gone off the boil slightly, but I've had feedback that Stevenage should have been reduced to 10 men in the first half. Lyle's chance against Reading was onside. The Barnsley goal should have been disallowed for a foul. So loads of these little margins have been going against us, and we have to make sure we keep working to put those margins in our favour. There's no point feeling sorry for ourselves. We have to... It's probably the reason why I'm so focused on being process-driven and performance-driven, because there's so many elements of the result that you aren't in control of. But we have to make sure that performance levels are high, like they were on Tuesday evening, like they have been in the majority of our season. And we have to be focused on that, and as long as we keep doing that, the results will come, and we have to make sure we put those margins in our favour.
When you say feedback, is that from the PGMOL?
Yeah, I've had it from the referees that should have been a sending off in Stevenage during the first half. The offside for Lyle wasn't offside, which we knew at the time. The foul on Max, there's been a lot discussed about that. Should have been given as a foul. You can't put hands on a goalkeeper, although I know people have their opinions on that, so it's the laws of the game. So yeah, listen, the margins have been against us, but we have to focus on ourselves and our performance levels. The game last week against Morecambe wasn't good enough. Tuesday was slightly better, and we have to keep heading in the right direction.
Shrewsbury's an intriguing game for many reasons. Let's first talk about on a personnel basis. Their player of the season and skipper Luke Lee, he's now here. Their young player of the season, Killian Phillips, is now here. Jack Grimmer's obviously got past with Shrewsbury as well. So that in itself makes this one an interesting one for both sets of fans.
Yeah, and JJ too.
Of course, how could I forget?
With his experience there.
You played once or twice there.
Yeah, it's, I know the manager well. I did my B licence with Matt years ago. A great guy, real good person, real good football man, knows the game, good person. So I look forward to seeing him. So there's definitely some intriguing cross-references between the two clubs. Yeah, going to be a tough game for us. They had a good result in the FA Cup last week at Notts County, and we know quite a few of their players really well in terms of coming up against them over the years, so it's going to be a tough game for us, and we have to focus and be ready.
They're slightly ahead of us in the league table. It's pretty condensed in there. They have played a couple of games more. Does that add a bit of spice into it as well? Because there is this, if you do get a win on Saturday, the nature of the table is you can move up the table by a significant amount of places.
I'm not sure if it adds anything on it. For me, it's just making sure that we're the best we can be. I think that over the season there's always different stories that are attached to games, but essentially it's just us performing in the way we want to play and with the identity we want to play with the attacking intent we want to have on display, and that's what it's about, and getting the results. What will be over the course of the 46 games. There'll be plenty of ups and downs, and you have to try and, whilst it's important to make sure you're in the part of the table you want to be at, you have to make sure that you approach the game with the individuality that it deserves. So for me, it's just about making sure we're prepared tactically and physically to go and perform on Saturday, and if we are, then we know that we've got a good team.
Chairman here, the boss is here, Rob. He's been spending a lot of time with us as well, and I guess with you too.
Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday morning. It was lovely to spend some time with him. He's been backwards and forwards quite a bit over the last few months, so it's been great to have that time face to face to discuss various aspects of the squad, the club. So yeah, it's great to see him. It's always lovely for the lads to see him as well, because he's so enthusiastic. He loves this place. He's put so much into it in terms of time and money. So it's great to have Rob over here, and we hope to see him more going forward.
Wycombe Sound's 10th birthday being celebrated on Saturday at Adams Park. A big partner of this football club. What would you like to say about their involvement in what we do? Yeah,
I think first and foremost, thank you to Colin and the guys for their support that they've given this football club over the last 10 years. It's great to have Wycombe Sound on board to help and support us and to provide that feedback to the local community. So congratulations on your 10 years. Thanks for your support, and we look forward to using our relationship further moving forward.
Much like the league table in May, the numbers don't lie. Apparently, the episode of the Wycombe Wanderers show on Wycombe Sound when you were appointed as manager was the most listened to show of last year on the entire station, so that's good news. Yeah, it's really flattering, isn't it? I think everyone knows how much this club means to me, and the pride that I take in being manager here. The excitement I had coming back was huge, and I'm glad that was received really well. And as someone who did the media degree when you were a player, you know the value of a good story. Absolutely. It's all the value of a good story, mate. It's the next 10 years. Top man.
A great player, a great manager, and also knows his radio stations.
As he should. Thank you, Gaffer.
Yes, 10 years on Saturday being celebrated. Did we mention last week the competition?
I think so. Yes, we did. You have not very long left to enter our competition. You have until 12 p.m. on Saturday to enter our competition, where you can win one of 13 prizes and fundraise for the station, because we are a non-for-profit, don't you know?
No. And yes. And also... on Saturday, there'll be members of the team at the game as well to sort of mark the occasion.
Well, indeed, yeah, we'll be by the gazebo as always. We're starting from 10 o'clock on Saturday with a coffee lounge all the way through Rob's show, the build-up to the commentary as well. So it's going to be a really good day, reminiscing on the last 10 years as well, and from our first broadcast as well, which, if I'm honest, I can't remember.
Talking to Dave Carroll, obviously, about how the club and the team that he played with developed, a real sense of pride, for all of us, really, to how the station's grown as well. Oh, massively, because, it's not always been easy. As, Dave was saying, you have your ups and downs, and there has been some very low moments. It's a very stressful thing trying to run a radio station. But yeah, we've made 10 years. We made obviously 7 years of being on 106.6 FM a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I think Saturday's going to be really, really nice. So if the Chairboys can win as well, that'd be great. That would make the day, wouldn't it? Would really make the day as well, yeah. So you can find out more, as mentioned a little earlier on the website, wycombesound.org.uk. If you want to listen in full to Phil's chat with the manager, Matt Bloomfield, it's part of pre-match drills. Oh, pre-match drills this week. Excellent. If you're Joey Barton, you're not going to like it. I don't care, though. Darcy's interview with Lyle Taylor is brilliant. Go and watch it and go and give Darcy some love, because it's great. Fantastic. And also, of course, the post-match reaction from Tuesday. Also on the Wycombe Wanderers website, you can hear, if you missed it, Rob Couig's Q&A as well. Yeah, that's in full, in audio version on Ringing the Blues, and in video form on Wanderers TV as well. We'll be back at the same time next week. I can confirm, as part of our series for celebrating 30 years, we'll be joined by Simon Garner. Ooh. Very much looking forward to chatting to him. He's got a book out as well, Up the Wick.